What's up, guys? I'm just here to talk a little bit about the latest trailer from 704 Games. They showed Iowa and the Xfinity cars and stuff. Plus, I want to talk a little bit about where this game is headed and stuff and what I think about that. First of all, the trailer was for me another successful um, marketing uh, move by UTech 704 Games. I'm sorry, I was going to call them Utechnics, but I like the trailer, and I like the fact that they went out of their way to show you the damage and some of the physics and stuff. And in all honesty, I do notice a difference. I wasn't expecting them to like focus on that. I thought they would try to like avoid that. But I'm pleasantly surprised that they're kind of showing you, look, we didn't just leave the gameplay mechanics the way they were last year. We were also paying attention to that. So, I do see a difference. It's pretty noticeable. The damage looks a lot better. It's not perfect, and a lot of people probably think it's still lacking. For me, it looks pretty decent. Um, Personally, I don't. When I play, I always take the damage off. I know that the damage is cool and it adds to the realism, but I believe that sometimes you could go too far with realism. Realism is great up to a point. Sometimes realism can get in the way of having a good time, and I don't care what anyone says. If you're running a race, you're well into it. It's a nice long race. You're having a good time, and you get caught up in something and your car is all shriveled up and crumpled, and you can't really finish the race, or you can't really, it's not going to be fun. I don't care what anyone says. The idea sounds good. Sometimes an idea sounds good on paper, and then when you actually go through it, you're like, this is not fun. I can't do this. I'm just speaking for myself. Um, if you're a hardcore realism person and you want everything as perfectly realistic as possible, and you're like, whatever happens, happens, I'll live with it, just like people deal with it in real life, that's great, so you'll like that. But I personally, I don't run with damage on. Uh, I'm trying to have a good time, and I don't want to get, the AI isn't perfect. A lot of things can happen to ruin your race, and I think a lot of people would end up resetting the game and just starting over. So, yeah, the novelty of damage, it's cool on paper, but I personally, I don't. What I would like to see is the AI with the damage. Like if I could see the AI with a little bit of damage, or maybe a car or two that ends up going to the garage and calling it a day, that would be cool, But for me, I don't want to have damage. So yeah, I know it's not realistic, but this isn't about me. It's I think it's cool. I think the damage, they did a good job, and that's one of the things that I think they've had a lot of trouble with. And when I say they, I'm including Utechnics when I talk, because that's what we've had. So um, we haven't seen a good job with that. So this looks a lot better. And the physics, I do notice also a difference, and that is important. And one of the things that I really thought ruined a lot of racing in not just last year's game, but all of Utechnics games, they always had that issue, and I hated this, where your car could be coming out of turn 2 or turn 4, and you accelerate, and you kind of like, the car goes up and pancakes the wall. And it doesn't, I don't even mean a super hard hit, but just like when two flat surfaces meet like that, and then the car just spins out of control like a pinball, or like the wall punched the car back out. It made no sense, right? In terms of physics, car, that just wouldn't happen in real life. Now, if you come in at an angle and hit the wall, weird things can happen. I get that, but I'm talking about 95% of the time you're coming out of a turn and you kind of scrape up against the wall. It's two flat surfaces. There's nothing there that should knock your car in like a pinball machine, or or even stop. I've seen it a couple of times in one of the Utechnics games where you go up against the wall and the car would just stop, like a dead stop. It was like weird. But that stuff, I really hated it because it breaks all the immersion. It just ruins everything. And so it's important to get the physics to be decent, at least, right? So I don't expect the physics to be like a full-on simulator. But I do see improvement. And I seen even the two cars coming together and then they could keep going forward. That's, to me, promotes good, fun racing. Rather than, like last year, you could have a car come down on you, or if you slide up into them, if you're just two cars side by side, and then you just spin out of control, and you wreck. I hated that. That's one of the worst things about last year's game. And so it looks like they did do some work, and they tried to fix it. So it looks like an improvement. And the fact that they're like kind of focused on, in this video, they really focused on showing you the damage and some of the physics. And I like that, because then they're kind of saying, hey, look, this isn't like last year. So I like that. Rather than you trying to find something in the trailer that really is not highlighted, right? They're highlighting something else, and then in the background you just happen to catch something, and then you're kind of now, okay, I hope it's like that, but really I don't know. This video clearly shows, it was meant to show Iowa, right, the new track and the Xfinity cars, but it really focused on the wrecks, the damage model, and the physics. So I like that. So I've been very hard on them when it comes to marketing. This was a good form of marketing. So I like that. That was a good thing. The way they did the trailer, I loved everything about it except the god-awful music. I am sick and tired of this generic rock music that's always a part of NASCAR games. They really need to change that up. As far as the trailer goes, I don't care. It's not that big a deal. And you guys know I'm not the type of person to keep making a big deal out of little things, So it's not the end of the world. But I don't want to see them just clog this game with this generic rock music, right? There's nothing wrong with rock music. And I know that NASCAR historically is a sport, a southern sport. Not for nothing, but, mostly white sport, right? It's much more global now. I'm Dominican, in case you guys didn't know that. So I'm a Hispanic guy. I'm from New York, from the Bronx. So there's not too many NASCAR fans out here, right? If you listen to talk radio out here, like sports and stuff, they never talk about NASCAR. So, I'm like, I really stick out here. So, but I'm just saying, change it up a bit, man. Don't load this game up with that generic. I can't stand it. We've been seeing this stuff since the first NASCAR games. So, I'm just tired of it. I don't know how you guys feel. That's my little rant about that. But I really like the video. I like the trailer. It showed things that I'm interested in seeing, like the physics, the handling, the way the cars react to each other. The damage model looks cool. So those are the things that they should focus on when they show you a trailer. Show us things we can pick up that are highlighted. That's like, okay, that's what I wanted to know, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what they show about career mode, right? Because so far they've pretty much shown us everything except things like maybe some more presentation, the statistics, how it's laid out, and how this career mode is kind of built. I don't expect them to like walk us through from A to Z, but give us enough that we could see, oh, this is cool. Look, you can sign contracts and you can drive in more than one series at once, but like in real life, you can't run for a championship in the truck series. There's a limited amount of races you get to choose. Have us and show us maybe some of the, can we interact with sponsorship deals and stuff? I mean, is that all going to be part of it, right? I think you need all this stuff because I don't want this game to be just about show up to the racetrack and race, right? A good, solid NASCAR game should include everything. Any sports title. I shouldn't just say NASCAR, but sports games in general, the ones that do it the best, they don't just focus on game day, right? And just any of the NBA 2K games, right? I'm always bringing that up because to me, they are the pinnacle of sports games. Not that they're the best actual game in terms of the actual gameplay or like what you do on the basketball court, even though they're really good at it. But I'm talking about the entire game as a whole, the way it's fleshed out, the career mode, how deep and immersive it is, how much they cram in there in terms of content, where half the game isn't even about the game. So it's what happens throughout the week, practice, working out, training, how to improve your player, signing contracts, making deals, a lot of little side stuff that happens. And so you really feel like I'm a real NBA player who is really living the NBA lifestyle, and it's cool, so it really works when it's done well. That's kind of where I want NASCAR games to go. We're far away from that, but every step counts. And so when they said, okay, we rebuilt the career mode from the ground up, I really liked hearing that because I didn't like last year's career mode. It was bare bones, and it was pretty much like it's just the bare minimum they can do, they did, and it was just unfinished. I didn't like it. So I like that they said, you know what, we scrapped it, we just rebuilt it. I'm sure it's going to be centered around working your way up through the series and stuff. So that's good, but that's not enough. You got to include other aspects of what it's like to be a NASCAR driver. So we already know there's not going to be a paint booth. There's not, the customization is going to be bare minimum to probably not much at all, except for, the templates system. I'm hoping it's a lot like the old Thunder series. If it is, I think it's going to be awesome. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised at how good it can be if they give you enough choices. And hopefully we could color the wheels too. I like colored wheels. I don't like just having them black. And at least, if a lot of you guys probably didn't play the old Thunder games, but we had a template system. There wasn't a full-blown paint booth, but they had some cool templates. And I remember one of the ones that were my favorite was like this electricity lightning bolt type of scheme. And then you could change the colors of the bolts of the car, things like that. And it was cool. You'd be surprised on how many different combinations you could play with and come up with a unique looking car. And one thing I really miss was, I do miss the old phony sponsors. They had some really cool made up sponsors, but I don't think they're ever going to do that again. I think we're at a point, especially when NASCAR is so involved with the development of this game. They are doing a lot of marketing for 704. I don't know how deep they are involved with the actual development, but it's obvious that their interest is in this particular game, which is why they're not going to give licenses to other guys. So, but that's where I'm hoping that we're headed, towards all this kind of immersion and content. But everything I've seen so far, I'm really liking it. I haven't felt this excited since the first Eutechnics game, when they first announced that they're making a game. Before we knew what a disaster that was going to be, everything was glass half full. It was like, oh, finally somebody's making a NASCAR game again. And that was probably the last time I was really excited. And after that, it was just one disaster after the next. So this game really has me excited. And I'm working really hard not to let myself get out of reality. Like, I have to keep myself grounded and remind myself that um, this game is probably not going to be as great as I want it to be, but you know, they keep showing us stuff that I like, things I've wanted to see. The type of information they're releasing is exactly what I've been asking for. So I'm looking forward to whatever else they have to release. But like I said, they've covered most everything except the career mode. So they're going to talk about that at some point where there's only 6 weeks left to go before this game comes out. It's not a lot of time. So I'm interested to see that. I want to see some of the interface, the user interface and the menu system and how everything's laid out, the stats. Um, Even if they could show something about the way these cars are set up. I know that at some point they said they're going to give us two base setups, one on the loose side, one on the tight side, and you could kind of build off of that. So that's a step in the right direction. I like that, but it's not where I want to be in the future. I want us to get to a point where you, as a player, don't have to worry about how do I set these fucking cars up, or finding people to give you a decent setup, or that to me is a chore. And I don't know too many people who fully understand setting up a race car enough to just come up with these setups on their own. I know a lot about sports and NASCAR, and I've built my own cars. I'm actually a decent car mechanic, but that's a world's different. That's a world of difference from that than an engineer, a NASCAR car engineer. The people that are involved with setting up these cars, and that's apples and oranges. So I think this game, they need to start going towards the direction of having a way to help the user, maybe having, like I've suggested, an automatic crew chief to help you set these cars up, make decisions for you based on your complaints, which is going to be a part of Project Cars 2. So I'm excited to see that when that comes out. Excuse me. So I want to see us go in that direction, because like I said, I don't want to see this game only be about race day. Like, just, okay, that's what it's all about. You got to also flesh out the rest of the game. What happens during the week, back at the shop? What about sponsorships and your, fulfilling contracts, dealing with that? Also, practice, and that to me is the one area that the franchise of these games has been sorely lacking. They just, you show up to practice and you got to come up with these setups, and that's what I'm trying to say. You can turn practice in future games. I shouldn't even be talking about this. This is stuff for when I do what I want to see in the future games, right? So I'm gonna wait for that. But I talked about it before. I'll talk about it again later. Not too far in the future, because I'm not gonna wait too long to do a video like that, because I don't want to be behind. When these guys start developing the game, I want my ideas to get out there, and I want us all to work together on promoting these ideas if you think they're good ideas. If not, obviously you won't. But I think you guys can finally start seeing that all of our complaints and suggestions, they have been heard, and they are addressing many of them, right? So hopefully those of you who are on the side of, oh, you guys complain too much, whatever, you guys, or this is never going to happen, I hope you guys are starting to see things differently, because here it's happening right before your eyes. They're addressing a lot of stuff, and that's actually quite an accomplishment for any developer. Very few game developers actually communicate with their fan base and actually take them seriously. Usually they pay them lip service and that's it. So they know that we are a pissed off consumer base. We haven't been getting what we've wanted. And they genuinely seem concerned and they do seem to be trying to address this stuff. So I give them a lot of credit for that, and I want us to keep that in mind. We got to keep things positive and constructive with our criticism because it's working. I can't be the only one seeing this, so I want us to stay, with one cohesive message instead of 1,000 different ideas and complaints. You know, let's like kind of unite so that when we forward our ideas, they're getting the same ideas from everybody, and they're like, okay, we better address that because everybody's asking about that. So that's kind of where I want to keep going forward. I think we're on the right track finally, and we got to keep encouraging them to continue to push themselves to do better. So what do you guys think of this last trailer? I look forward to your comments, and let's see what else. I'm hoping within the next week or two, maybe they start talking about the career mode. There's only 6 weeks left, so there's not, that time's going to go by pretty quick. So I can't wait. So what do you guys think? I look forward to your comments, and we'll talk next time. Later.